Hello, everybody. Yes, it is Thursday. It is 9, so that means it's UK Cowboys time. How are you all doing, guys? How we doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've got double this again. So we got the Scottish Chuckle Brothers.
Oh dear.
Oh, he's struggling.
Oh no. Oh no.
I thought it was me.
Oh no. Someone screenshot this quickly. I think Mike's just had a little bit of technical difficulty, but yeah, so I don't know what he was going to say about me, but we do also have Graham, my fellow Scotsman here, and of course Marcus, aka Bluff City Cowboys. How we doing, my man?
Yeah, thank you guys for the invite. It's always a pleasure to come on the show.
So I'll wait to see when Mike is going to come back on, but I don't know what he actually has lined up for tonight's agenda because I'm still trying to. I'm basically kind of going with the role right now because he's normally the man who's in charge here. So, but yeah, so
it looks like with. I'm just looking at the description online. It says we're supposed to recap the Cardinals game. I don't know if you guys did that last week or not. Well, you could.
I don't think we did.
No, we haven't done that yet. So, because it's every Thursday we do this. So, yeah. So the Cardinals game. So let me bring up the wee banners then. I'll remove Mike off the chat just now until he comes back in. Right. So, preseason training. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, yeah. So. Guys, what did we think about the game against the Cardinals? Who were the standouts? Who were the not so standouts that you thought about the game?
You want me to start?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah,
Okay.
Marcus. On you go, man.
All right, well, we can go ahead and knock the low-hanging fruit out right now. I've been talking about this since March. Why won't they bring in a center? Why won't they bring us a legitimate center that knows how to snap the ball?
Yeah.
This has been my pet peeve out of every position we've had. I knew this would happen because Connor Williams is in the center, Matt Farniok is in the center, Connor McGovern is the closest thing we have to a backup center, and he's so good at guard, you don't want to waste him at that spot. And I just feel like they should have addressed it, even if it's not a talented guy, somebody who can get the ball to the quarterback, and we can handle the rest later.
What about you, Graham?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Marcus. I think across the entire offensive line, I think we are extremely, extremely thin. I think is the nicest way to put it. The 5 starters pick themselves, and then it's a roll of the dice to see who takes over from those starters. I think Biadish owns the job already. We're not even halfway through. Well, I suppose we are halfway through camp now, but the 2 tackles picked himself. The center picked himself. It's unsettling that we don't have any competition, shall we say?
Yeah.
I think Marcus is totally right. I don't think Biadish did enough to secure the job as heavily as he's done. To go back to your original question, Paul, I have to pick up on Rico Dowdle. Do not fumble a ball on the few opportunities that you get.
Yeah.
We talk about flash in preseason. Do not fumble. I think that was a huge mistake. When you consider how thin his chances are anyway, and then you go make a mistake like that, and it had to be Darryl Worley that caused the fumble as well. The ghost of Cowboys past. Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I saw that name pop up, I'm like, oh God, you have got to be kidding me. Really? But yeah, so for me, and I may be going into deep waters here by mentioning this one player name because he's been on a highlight, and this is no dig to this particular player. I love the player to bits for what he's done and how he's came across adversity to be in the place he is right now. But seeing Jalen Smith in that game, I was a wee bit. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this, Marcus. So
yeah.
It's kind of going into the deep end, but I will leave it to this one play, and I trying to remember who it was that shared the video. I can't remember if it was D-Law,
Law Nation.
Law Nation, or
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was the run into the sideline. I think he was more on the containment on the and just completely was like out of sync, and him trying to move across over the side of the field, he looked really incredibly slow.
Yeah.
And now we're hearing the news that he's training with the number 2s rather than the 1s and stuff like that. So it just makes you really wonder, is like, what is actually I'm more concerned what's actually happened to Jalen rather than we're seeing all the comments where people are hating on him. And just so we qualify, we're not hating on him, we're more concerned what is going on with Jalen. So I don't know about what you guys think about that as well.
I mean, for me,
hello. Sorry about that. So nothing quite like the Wi-Fi deciding it wants to pack in just as you go live. So I do apologize.
Happens all the time to me. Not the only one.
Man, but go on, guys. Continue talking. I'm just going to keep sorting this out. Hey, Brandon, I see you, baby.
Yeah, I think after the season Jalen had last year, and then to go and take number 9 in the off season, and then to go and play the way he did against the Cardinals, it's not helping. And like you guys are saying, what is there something we don't know? Is there a health issue that we don't know about?
And here's the thing, though, we want him to be the best, especially like he's on the for him to be a linebacker. We gave him this big contract because we thought he was going to be in this high trajectory of becoming better and better. But it seems it's not right the way how things are standing right now, and it's just facts. It's not looking. He's not meeting those expectations right now. Like, and people could say, it's the highest tackler like within the team and stuff, and he was in top 10 last year. But you also need to look at how many mistakes he made last season as well. Like, and I can always go back to the Cincinnati game last year. That was just absolutely abysmal. From like we were absolutely torn apart from the midfield in that game. I mean, what do you think, Marcus?
And to add on what you just said, people forget Jalen has played 95% of all defensive snaps the past 2 years. No other linebackers played more than 60. You would expect him to have that many tackles because he's on the field all the time.
I know.
If a linebacker played that much and didn't have that many tackles, you should be concerned.
Yep. And here's the thing, like, could we blame potentially he could be worn out because he's getting all those snaps? Do you think it could be one of those things as well? Like you said, 95% of all snaps.
Right.
That's a lot of wear and tear in one season. Give room for the guys who are like second stringers, go in and like third down or whatever and that. Like just to get the rotation going, so therefore we're causing less injury. And especially like we all know what Jalen was like when we drafted him. He had to get the knee repaired. He came back, he came through with flying colours, and we're pretty much throwing him into the deep end now last season. But now we're starting to see this decline in terms of the speed, awareness, and it's like I said, I'm more concerned. I'm not hating on him.
Jalen isn't a bad player.
No, he's not. Agreed.
But he is what he is. He's a north and south linebacker. That's it.
Yeah.
You put him east and west, he has problems. We don't use him that way. I've been saying it for years. He needs to be our Sam linebacker. Yeah. Rush, contain, set the edge.
Me and you were talking about this before, Marcus. We both came with the same sentiment that he has been utilized wrong. That there is that factor that you've got to take in. But for me, what I actually think is those first 2 years where he had the knee injury and the drop foot, I think, because you think about it, the most critical time for any rookie coming into the NFL is those first 3 years. And he spent 2 of those 3 years injured. And he wasn't developing. He wasn't developing both as a player and his athletic profile. And that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing an echo of that down the line.
Yeah. And DJ Dog brings up another good point.
Yep.
Our other linebackers are just better than him right now.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons in limited snaps has done stuff, and I love the shirt too, Paul. Micah Parsons has done
big shout out to J Tuck for the shirt, man.
Yeah.
Big shout out.
He's done stuff in 30 snaps we haven't seen Jalen do in a year. I mean, Neil has done stuff in 20 snaps we haven't seen any of our linebackers do. Go in, make big hits, cause turnovers. Yep. These guys are coming in preseason and limited snaps and showing us stuff. Sideline to sideline ability, getting in the backfield. That's not saying Jalen's a bad guy, but if and a testament to our defensive coaching staff, because for the first time, we have coaches who are looking at guys and saying, this guy's playing better than this guy, so I'm going to put this guy on the forefront and the other guy has to earn his way up. In years past, either we didn't put any competition at linebacker or the guys who were there didn't really get a chance to compete.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate, but Dog again with the brilliant comment. Like, I'm actually kind of concerned about this as well. As much as I am loving Usa right now, I'm worried we're going to push him too much right now. Hold on, I'll bring it up. Osa. Like, being a rookie, and he already is playing a lot. Like, because we're seeing what we're doing with Dak right now. We're isolating his playing time just now because of any, in case he does pick up injury. We're doing it with Micah Parsons right now. Like, we want to limit him maybe like 10 snaps in those 2 preseason games, and that's him done for the night. But with Osa, he seems to be pretty much nearly on for the whole game.
Like
so
snaps,
yeah, he's on 102. He's 102 snaps already,
and that's in 2 preseason games. Right. That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That he is. I love him though.
He Osa was actually ranked the 9th best rookie defensive player in week 1 of preseason.
I would have to go see the other 8 because I'm shocked he's that low, and that's good.
Like number one was which was a bit gutted, was Patrick Surtain.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Yay. But there's that. Do you want me to run through some injury news? Should we do that, and then we get on to the Arizona game?
Yes. Well, we kind of talked about the Arizona game a little bit, and then that's where we kind of started with the whole Jalen talk there, Mike. So all
right, we'll bounce in and we'll bounce back.
Yeah, we'll bounce back into it.
All right, then. So obviously the biggest news of the week so far is 5 players have been taken out to meet the 85 personnel. Roster personnel. Shewo Olulua and Reggie Robinson both put on IR. Reggie Robinson, funnily enough, is a guy who I said I struggled to find a spot from in this roster because he was going to be your 5th or your 6th cornerback. If he's going to be your 5th or your 6th cornerback, then you need them to be able to play special teams, which he can't do. Or do to a high standard. So that was always going to be a bit of a hard position to try and find for him. Linebacker Anthony Hines is gone. Cornerback Kyron Brown and wide receiver Brennan Eagles from Texas cut, along with Hunter Niswander. He's been waived injured as well. Yeah, some good news. You what? Sorry,
I was just saying Hunter the punter.
Hunter the punter / field goal kicker and everything else. Good news though. Dak had a second MRA after the Arizona game. That came back clear. Dak has been thrown, but Mike McCarthy on yesterday, in his presser, put it this way, I would not expect to see Dak Prescott playing in the Houston game. Looks like, from what he said, that's it. He's done. So you're pretty much not going to see him now until the Bucks game. Right. In other injury news, Malik Turner, turf toe. Sean McEwen, ankle injury, 4 to 6 weeks. Neville Gallimore, hyperextended his elbow, 4 to 6 weeks. Ty Neshke, he went out. It's not serious. He is, in fact, been in training. So there's that. Lyle Collins had a bit of a scare. Lyle Collins did have a scare. Came back as an arm / neck injury. It's not serious. So good news. Josh Ball has been in practice.
Finally.
Yeah. Tristan Hill is working to come back in. Dalton Schultz rolled on his ankle last week. He's still out, but he's looking to be ready for week 1. In other news, we've had a sign-in. A kicker from the CFL. It's on a 2-year deal, which I find a bit odd. His name is Lareem Harul Ahul. I really butchered that name. But in other news on kicking, Greg Zuerlein has been seen kicking.
Yeah.
And he's looking okay.
Positive. It's all positive, isn't it? So
I think the Harul Ahul kicker. I think that's just to cover themselves for the preseason, and Greg will be kicking week 1 by the looks of it. Yeah. Is there any other news I put in here? And that's pretty much it on the news and updates.
You talk about Neville Gallimore?
Yes, Neville Gallimore.
My boy. That's my boy.
Which is probably the biggest news, really, because of the D-line depth. But we will get to that because we were talking about Osa Odigizua. But I mean, what I thought I'd ask you guys is in terms of the Arizona game that we went in, that we had at the start of the week, the Cardinals game. Mm-hmm. Give me your studs and duds. So we'll start with the studs. Who are the top guys for you this week in the Arizona game?
Well, we kind of covered the duds. Marcus,
here's one for you then. I'll bring a topic of conversation for the duds.
Yeah.
Is the Connor Williams at center experiment done with? Are we happy with that?
Well, we kind of just talked on that. Yeah.
You talked on that. Good. Okay, so we'll cross that out.
I probably started every episode of the Cowboys on talking about how much we were in trouble at center since like April. I've been talking about this nonstop.
We are at trouble. We are in trouble at center. What I find mind blowing is that we're now into week 2 of the preseason, and now they're trying to figure this out.
Yeah,
it's like you don't cram a test. Do you know what I mean? And that's where we're up to, and I find it mind baffling that that's where we're at.
And for me, there are 3 positions you don't mess around with on a team. That's quarterback, free safety, and center.
Yeah,
those 3 positions are your play callers.
Yeah, down the middle.
In the middle, yeah.
Yeah, down the
middle linebacker you can kind of get away with, but center has to be the guy on the offensive line.
Touches the ball every play.
Every play. You can't play around with that.
And like what I always say with center, a bit that people don't realize is center. Right, the quarterback. The good thing for a quarterback is he wears a wristband with all his audibles and his plays. The center has to do that, but in his head. And he has to know all those adjustments. He has to know exactly what the other 4 guys need to do in that play call and need to be able to adjust. And he's got to do that lickety split from what the quarterback is calling. Mate, and he don't have a wristband to look at while he's doing it.
Mate, just to add to this, and Marcus, you will definitely agree with this. I think center is probably sometimes. Well, actually, I think center is probably more important than quarterback right now, because if you can't have a center that cannot snap the ball, what's the point of having the quarterback? Right. You can't deliver. If you cannot snap the ball properly, it's going to be dead ball and penalties left, right, and center. So we need to address this absolutely.
Right. So it is crazy that this is where we're at with it.
If the center doesn't make the play calls or the center bobbles the snap, your quarterback's dead. And those are his 2 most important positions.
Yes.
If the ball bobbles on the ground, the quarterback has to dive on it. No matter what. That's instinct. And if he dives on it, somebody could fall on his shoulder like Drew Brees. Somebody could fall on his ankle like Patrick Mahomes. That stuff can destroy your season. And if he misses a protection call, then you got somebody coming with the just wide
it's a broken play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, on top of that, like you say, he's got to snap the ball. And even after that, then he's got to block. There's a lot. And like he's already, the position is not just as simple as pass the ball between your legs.
He's at a disadvantage.
In other news, then, if you want to go on the dud side, some of the notes I made during the game, the Bahana penalty killed us. That was a killer. Yeah. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I am loving him. but I think that's a good learning experience for him. I've got Rico fumbles. Here's an interesting one. But yes, the Rico fumbles were a killer.
Yeah.
But we could talk about that in a moment. The one I wanted to talk about was Kelvin Joseph.
Okay.
I think this was a big learning game for him. A lot of people are saying, oh, he got burned, all the rest of it. Very, very true. But do you know what I noticed? He got burned. The next play, got right back on the saddle, brushed his shoulders off, and it's on to the next play. I think in terms of development for a rookie cornerback, and the time you want him to be making those mistakes and learning to do this, preseason.
Exactly.
Perfect time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just picked him up in the keeper league. Keeper league. I think he will be a focal point for offenses because if you're going to stay away from one side of the field, it will be Diggs. Yeah. So they're going to target Joseph. So the Cardinals game was a big step.
And I'll say this about that Cardinals game, which a lot of people don't talk about. We don't have any fast receivers on our team. Like CeeDee Lamb's great, but he's a 4-5 guy. Coop hasn't practiced. Gallup's a 4-5 guy. All of our backups are 4-5 guys. That Cardinals receiving core is like a track team. You got Isabella, you got Kurt, you got the other guy who actually burnt them, whose name escapes me. Those are all 4-3 guys. So this was the first time he's seen legitimate 4-3 speed in a game. So I was expecting that to happen. And I'm glad we got it out of the way now, like you said, in the preseason and not in the regular season.
Yeah. The only other thing I did add is the big thing that I noted was dropped passes. That was a big problem. We'll talk about this a little bit later, is red zone. I'm going to talk about that when we come to the Houston game. Okay. But let's talk about the good guys. All right. Let's move on to the positive side. Who impressed you the most? For me, my number one guy, it was very close. It was between Keanu Neal and Osa Odigizua, but I've gone for Keanu Neal. You're going for Parsons.
Obviously. Yeah, I can see Paul. Proud of him.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Keanu Neal right now is leading the NFL in defensive production.
Wow. That's crazy stat, man. Crazy.
Yeah. If you go on to PFF and go and click just on defense, Keanu Neal will be right at the top. He's number one. But go on then, give me yours then, Marcus. Who was your number one guy in this game?
The guy I'm in love with is Osa. Yeah. This kid, and I know Paul's a D-line guy, but I got to talk about this kid.
Yeah,
what he's doing is remarkable because he weighs 275. He plays the nose, the 2-tech, the 3-tech, the 5-tech. He's beating double teams. He's playing 2-gap to perfection at 6'2", 280. Like if you want to learn how to 2-gap a guy, just go pull up any Osa play. Yeah, perfect separation, perfect shedding, at the same time keeping his body square and getting penetration. Yeah, I can't wait to see him. And I talked about this on the Cowboys Zone last night. He's been doing this with backups when everybody knows he's the best lineman on the field. Imagine when he has D-Law beside him. Yeah. Getting 2 or 3 guys watching him.
Randy on the other.
Gregory on the other side.
Yeah.
Now you got also one-on-one with a guy with nobody helping. I'm really expecting to see him in hopefully limited snaps do a lot of work this week against Houston. But the 50 snaps a game he's gotten so far, very impressive. I've counted. I think I had a note. He's made like 12 disruptive plays in the 100 or so snaps, which that's 10%, which is a lot for one guy in a game. He's had 10% like disruptive plays on his own, where he just single-handedly made the offense do something they didn't want to do.
Yeah, and here's the crazy bit is that Dan Quinn loves his two gappers. He loves those guys in the middle. He's renowned for He did it in Seattle and he did it with the Falcons. He wanted that dominant two gapper in the middle, and you can see that it's starting to pay off with it. Presenting that style in the middle, and the way he's going to be rotating that defense, which we'll talk about for the Houston game. I think that's going to work out really well. And it's the only thing I'm disappointed with is we're not going to see what that looks like with Neville Gallimore in there. You put that into the case as well. You got a lovely rotation going on there. It's going to work out quite nice. But here's my question. Oh, go on, Paul.
Oh no, I wasn't going to say anything.
I was just stressing over how Paul looked there. He's struggling.
You said Neville Gallimore's name.
He's hurting on that one. No, for me,
it hurts the big nuggets, so it does.
For me, I mean, just in terms of numbers, Dorrance Armstrong. I'd like to see.
I was going to get to that.
I would like to have seen it against Kyler Murray, but obviously we're not going to see much of that. So small sample size against backups, but
obviously
in the preseason you can only tackle who's put in front of you, and if you can carry that into the season, we need all the sacks we can get. I mean, I've stressed often enough how low our sack numbers are. So if we can get a rotation going that bring in the odd sack as well and pressure the QB, then all the better for it. But I try not to get too carried away because you are running against twos, maybe threes.
Yeah.
Is Kyler Murray going to get sacked twice by Armstrong?
Right.
Probably not. But you can't. You can only sack. Like I said, you can only sack who's in front of him. So let's see what we can get.
But like you said, Graham, you want your number two guys to be better than the other team's number two guys.
Yeah.
That's when you have a deep roster. If he was just average, they would say, okay, he's just another guy. But now we know he can separate himself. And even though he's not a starter, we know he's better than number twos.
It's funny they mention that. We can always talk about the other guys that we were talking about, like Maurice Kennedy as well.
Oh.
I mean, he is having probably one of the best camps you could probably ask for. And the guy was like under the radar. Like he was likely going to be the guys who was going to get cut.
Yeah,
but now, will he be he won't? I don't think he'll be a number one, but he will definitely be number one in rotation. Sorry, but I think he'll be in the twos for sure. I think the way how he's handling camp right now.
Yeah,
but just to go back to Dorrance Armstrong, are you guys buying into the hype because he's done this to us the last couple of years?
See, I'm with Mike on this one. Like, we keep hearing Dorrance Armstrong is having a great preseason, having a great training camp. Then we never ever see him during the season at all.
He disappears every year.
Every year disappears, and I'm kind of at the point now. I'm at, when are we actually going to get to see him on the field? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Like not in the preseason game, but on the actual regular season game, like day one against Tampa Bay. Is he going to get game time? That's what I want to
know. I'm actually in the minority on Dorrance Armstrong. That's one of the guys I kind of like. But I know what he is. He's a number two guy. He's going to give you 30, 40% of the snaps. I mean, I can't expect Dorrance Armstrong to have 8 sacks when D-Law has 4. So I try to keep him realistic. I wish he could take a starting spot, but that's just not what he is. But I think he's a good backup to give us quality snaps and not come in and make a mistake. I wish I could get more from him.
Here he is. Talking to Tuck yesterday, but good to see you again, brother. Yeah. The other defensive end we wanted to talk about though is old alligator arms, Bradley and I. Looking good.
I was just about to say that. Like,
the floor is yours.
Right. So big difference. We saw him like previously before. Like we actually get to see the speed aspect of Bradley and I, how he can actually get round the tackle, like especially if he's run from the outside. The only thing is though, like I'm pretty sure he caused a couple of penalties. Like
he did. I've actually made a note of this.
Yeah,
penalties were an issue.
That's the only thing. Like if he can progress this into the Houston game, he could actually still make the team, I think.
Do you know what I want to do? I want to put him on special teams.
Yeah, I don't see what. But he's got the
starting
speed for
it.
it.
He's got the motor. He's got the motor.
Absolutely.
Get him there first. Let's see what we got. What harm is it going to do?
Absolutely. Yeah. I am on board with that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I made a note, though, in terms of studs, if you want to call it that, Blake Jarwin was back.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's good to see him. Good to see that there. And the only other thing I've got in there then, notes are on both, was Israel Mukwamu and Azur Kamara, which we'll talk about on the Hard Knocks side of it all.
Yeah. Well, now that you mentioned kind of Hard Knocks, Wendy made a wee comment and wants to get our opinion. Let me just find it. Where is
Bring
that
it up when we get to the Hard Knocks part. I know the comment you're on about Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
We'll bring that up because that is a good one.
Don't worry, Wendy. We'll all talk about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get into some camp talk this week. Just about who you guys are. I've made some notes about it all. Obviously, it's back in Frisco now, which was good. It was Cowboys Day on Monday, so that was nice. Good to see. Good crowd there too. The big one for me, I quite liked. Amari Cooper, he's back. Gets on the field, first throw, first catch, he's a blur, gone, touchdown. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. That's our wide receiver one.
Yeah, back in business. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Dak on a pitch count. What is interesting, and this is the question I'm going to go around and ask you guys. As we know, Shweu is off. He's done. He's on IR. That's his season done and dusted. Now, Mike McCarthy is renowned for carrying a fullback on the roster. He loves using a fullback. We've lost ours for the year. Nick Ralston is the guy replacing him. Do you go and roll with him from what you've seen this week, or are we going to see Jeremy Sprinkle play that hybrid role?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't really think it was actually really Mike McCarthy. I think it was his OC at the time in Green Bay that had the preference of doing that. Surely it must have been that. More, I would say it's more in Kellen Moore to do that type of decision, would it not?
I don't know. He's going to have the final say on the roster.
Yeah, I know he'll have the final say in the roster, but I think in terms of like the play calling and stuff like that, it's pretty much more on Kellen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know about you, Marcus. What do you think?
I run through a 53-man roster projection almost every day.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
So many different combinations of players. I think it's gonna be hard to fit a fullback in there because now do you keep 4 tight ends?
You're gonna have to.
Do you keep 11 offensive linemen because you haven't got center figured out? On defense, do you keep a 5th defensive tackle? It's so many positions you can go long at. It almost is like, would I rather have a 5th defensive tackle or a fullback? I think we would all say 5th defensive tackle, no question.
Yeah. What's really ironic, you're talking about the 53.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've tried doing this. I'm finding figuring out the offense is harder than figuring out the defense.
Normally it is because the offense normally keeps less players.
Yeah.
So it's normally
it's
like 27, 24 or something like that.
If you had said that in the offseason that it's going to be harder to figure out the offense and the defense this year, you'd be like, shut up.
Right.
Especially when the first 11 pick itself.
Exactly.
It is mad.
There's no competition.
Something I have noticed in talking of the O-line, though, Connor Williams and Connor McGovern are both looking improved. They're looking good this week. The interesting one is the swing tackle position. This is where it's getting tricky. Now, Terrence Steele this week is trying to beat out Nseki. He has looked good. And between Steele, Knight, and Josh Ball, he's looking the best. Now, I've got my 7 offensive linemen, right? I've got 7 that I'm pretty certain of. Okay. Like you say, you're going to have to carry 10, maybe 11 offensive linemen. From what you've seen this week in camp, what are you guys thinking on the offensive line? Where that's going to work?
We know who your top. We know who your top 6 are. Who's your 7th? I'm curious, Mike.
Terrence Steele.
Okay, so you think Steele is secure? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's good, but he's secured a spot.
I agree 100%. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
Teams don't let young, long arm tackles go, no matter how they look. They always get a second chance.
Yeah. And he has looked better than he did last year. Just the trouble with Steele last year, he was just so up and down. One game, he'd look like a starting tackle. The next week, you're just like, oh, what's happened to you?
I just hope we see the guys we saw in December and not the guys we saw in October through November.
Yeah.
Because if we get the inexperienced guys back, or the inexperienced versions of the guys back, we're in trouble with the backup. Myself and Rich have we've not pulled any punches. I think we're extremely, extremely thin.
Yeah.
We started off the show by saying that center is extremely thin.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there's been a conversation between McCarthy, Philbin, and Belasco. And they're saying, Coach, we are not ready. Yeah. We are not ready to take on a 17-game regular season. We must improve, if anything, on the 2 tackles. We have to get at least one serviceable swing tackle out of the 2 of them. The inexperienced part of that is gone now. I think once you've played 8 to 10 games, I reckon you know who you are.
Nick's in the building.
Shout out to Nick.
But yeah, it's scary. I think I don't think we're ready. We're not ready at tackle.
You got the reference, Paul?
We all got it. Yeah.
But just to continue on with the camp talk, Azur Kamara and Tyler Biadasz got into a bit of a ruckus. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen that. Not sure what even started off. I'm sure it's going to be seen on Hard Knocks. They got into it. My other notes, I put Randy Gregory equals good. Mm-hmm. So no point in going any further on that. Jordan Lewis back in the building. He's back in. Actually looked good on one-on-ones versus Michael Gallup. He was forcing the incompletions. And then again, we're back to Dorrance Armstrong. 2-minute drill in that what are they calling it? Mojo moment.
Right.
And Dorrance Armstrong causes the sack. And it's just like, man, it's crazy. And Diggs as well, by the way. Trayvon Diggs, I've got on another interception on one-on-ones. So, is there anyone else or anyone you want to talk about there that you want to continue to talk about?
Well, I was going to follow up what Graham was kind of saying there about the depth of the tackles and stuff like that. I mean, for me, it can only be better than it was last year. Like, the reason I'm saying that is the guys that we brought in last season to fill in the spot for Lyle Collins and Tyron Smith. They were pretty much thrown into the wolves. There were moments that they looked like Bambi on ice. Let's be honest, they did. But as games progressed, they did start to look better. There was moments where, you know what, they've now got the key word. They've now got the experience of that now. They now know what's expected of them now if they were to go in. So I just kind of hope that now kind of transpires that when it comes to them in camp and the rest of these preseason games, hopefully they can actually get that more vital experience and just try and cause the minimum errors. So, I mean, I'm kind of thinking more on the positive side of it rather than sit. Like, I know there's no doubt we will need to get offensive linemen next year off season on the draft, most likely. But I'm still trying to think of the positives about this, because considering like they've got more experience to now they know what to do now. So that's just what they had maybe 2 cents to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna step away from hating on them just for a minute.
I didn't say you were hating.
No, I'm gonna say no. Basically, can you think of a position where the Cowboys have started from zero and brought a player up to above average standard?
Tony Romo.
But by that I mean you can't pay everybody in free agency. You can't draft everybody, so you're going to have to do a bit of creative, improvement at camp, and maybe Steele is the guy. Maybe he can be.
Yeah. Paul, bang this comment up, the last one from Mark, because this is it's a great point, and it is something that has baffled my mind, is that you've got Connor Williams doing centre work, who did very little of it in college, and McGovern, who practically played centre.
None of it in college.
He played tackle. He played tackle in college.
He did play tackle, you're correct. Left tackle, in fact, for Texas, it is I still don't understand it myself.
Yeah,
I don't either.
It's baffling. Baffling. Mark, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. It's baffling, man. Baffling.
Right. You got a guy in the last year of his rookie deal, and you try to change his position. No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And he's had in preseason, the 2 preseason games, Hall of Fame and Week 1. He's already muffed the ball on the snap 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, and this is kind of now we probably going to talk about in the Hard Knock session, is what he did to Aaron Donald.
Right.
Like, that's a positive. Him playing the guard position, dominating without a doubt, one of the best players in the NFL. But we'll go more into that as we go into that. But,
yeah, of course. Anyone else, though? Go on. Sorry, Greg. I'd
just like to bring up at this junction that Joe Looney got to Giants camp and changed his mind and retired. I'd just like to bring that point up.
Well, I think after watching that video clip of Daniel Jones and the Blitz and stuff, I wonder why he retired.
And what's getting about that is we can't go and get Joe Looney now because he retired as a Giant, so the Giants retain his rights.
They've got the rights, that's right. Yep.
So he's screwed. Anyone else, though, in camp this week, you guys want to talk about who's jumped out at you?
I got one guy. We talked about him briefly, and this is Mukwamu.
Yes.
Last game, he played a lot of slot corner and that big nickel that I love talking about. If this kid keeps playing, and they were playing man-free defense, which basically means all of your corners are playing man-to-man. You have one free safety playing deep, and everybody else is blitzing. They were putting him isolated in the slot as a 6'4" cornerback.
Yep.
And he held his own.
And he held up. Yep.
Yeah. So if they're doing that with him now and he's still giving you some quality safety snaps, it's going to make that safety position very interesting on cut day because he's the only one, maybe J-Ron Curse, but outside of that, he's the only one who has that real position flex.
Yes. And because that's going to be the issue is when you think about the safety position going back to 53 is you're like, I can't take 5 safeties.
It's going to be hard.
But it's going to be hard. But the good thing about Mukwamu is he's interchangeable. And like you say, you've seen him doing the slot. I don't know if you've seen our statistic we put up. We put his snap count down on a post that we did this week.
I did see that.
Yeah, I'll try and find it. Here we go. So he played 8 at D-line, 26 in the box, 25 in free safety, and 14 in the slot. And whilst he's done that, he's been the best tackler and the second best rookie in coverage so far.
Yeah.
He's absolutely flying at the position.
On tape.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's perfect and that he's this blow it out the water safety. There's room to move and to grow, but it's a great foundation of what he's doing. I do like that shout. And he's been a guy that we keep beating the drum on.
Right.
Yeah, and people thought he would have been one of the first cuts of the team as well, and he seems to be proving everybody wrong. Time and time over. No, that's a great shout, Marcus. I like McQuarrie. I quite like McQuarrie as well. I like him.
All right, then. Let's move on to the dreaded Houston Texans this game.
Dreaded by in what means?
As in, they're our rivals.
All right, I thought you were talking about what's actually going on with them.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, we won't go down that road.
No, let's
yeah. We'll just give that a wide berth, shall we?
Right. Wait! I need to put this wee comment up. Mark, your comments have been great, my friend. Thanks for this. But he wants our comment to make the roster too, just for the passion for the cake.
Yeah. We talked about that last week. Go back. We did have a good laugh at that. That was quite funny. But what I wanted to do is give everybody 5 key points of what you are watching in this Houston game. Mine are very simple. Dan Quinn's play calling, defensive alignment is what I'm looking at. This is a big one that I will circle back to in a minute, is red zone play calling. So we'll come back. Tyler Biadasz at center. I really want to see that. The tight ends, get that working. And a big one is corners and safeties. Because this is going to be dress rehearsal for the Bucs game. And with what those guys have got, I mean, it's a nasty matchup. Right. So they're my key points I'm watching. You're the special guest, Marcus. Give me your 5.
All right. Well, the first one is who's the starter on defense? Because we just lost Gallimore, and I hate to keep bringing this up for Paul. He makes a face every time you say anybody says it. But it's going to be interesting because we've seen Urban play everywhere.
Yes.
I think the first game he started off at right defensive end. Now we can see exactly what they plan on doing between him and Osa and Watkins. Yeah. So I'm going to be paying attention to who's the starters on defense. We talked about Jalen's with the second team. Who's going to step out there with the ones for this game at linebacker? And how are our safeties going to look? Is it going to be KZ and Hooker? Is it going to be Hooker and Wilson, KZ and Wilson? We don't know. That's what I'm watching in terms of who's the starter on defense. Number 2, you talked about red zone. We gotta do something if we have our ones out there. They have to put it in the end zone. Center position, of course. Who are we gonna trot Connor Williams out there for a half? And what's up, Sid? Shouts out to you. That number 6 receiver spot, we just lost Malik Turner. The past 2 weeks, it looked like our top 6 were pretty secure. But now that Turner's out, does Simi go ahead and take that step with the second unit and kind of be the guy? And I guess the last one, I'm leaning towards running back because you guys talked about. I love Rico Dowdle. I loved him since South Carolina. He is, if not for injuries, I thought he would have been a draftable guy. But that fumble kind of opened the door up. And
I know.
Jaquan Hardy has some wiggle, and some elusiveness. And if he can put together a couple of good series, he may close the gap on that. And also, they talked about Rico Dowdle being doing some punt return and kick return. I haven't seen either one in preseason. So if he's not giving us either one of those, really, what is he good for in terms of a number 3 running back?
Yeah.
It's a lot more open than people think.
Yeah, because I was very happy with Rico up until the fumble, and he seemed to get himself into a funk with it. Yeah, because after he wasn't the same.
And saying that, Mike, we could be saying the exact same. Because we've not even seen Zeke yet, and his biggest problem last season was his fumbles. So
yeah, I mean, me and you spoke in the week while you were watching the game. We were talking about it, weren't we? And you said about Rico, and I said at the same time, I was like, it's just so hot and cold.
Yeah. I think you can just have that better level of consistency. That's when he can be a really good effective fullback for sure. If Pollard's not available or seeks out or whatever, and that he can actually still do a good job. I mean, if there's one good quality he really does have, it's his elusiveness. How he can shuffle side to side and dodge tackles. I mean, that is beautiful to watch, but it's ball security is just the big question.
Yeah. Especially at the number 3 running back spot. Zeke can get away with it.
Yes.
But not your number 3 guy.
No.
That's it. Yeah. So go on then, Gray. Give us your 5 key points. What are you looking for in the Houston game?
Well, I mean, a lot of the points we've touched on already. Who's going to be the third running back? Is there a chance we see Tank in this game? I haven't followed his injury.
It could be. It's a dress rehearsal game.
Yeah.
Could we see Tank? It will be interesting to see how many ones we use without Zeke, because I think I see why they're not putting Zeke in.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
He'll probably play against Tampa. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm always one for as a player football ready as opposed to fitness ready. You know, have they taken the right amount of hits and the amount of looks, the amount of carries and all that kind of stuff. So is Zeke gonna go in cold? Not cold's the wrong word, but you get what I'm aiming at.
Cold's a good word. I think that's a good word.
Yeah.
In a rhythm.
Yeah.
Do you think they will really sit Zeke until the Bucs game?
I think
he'll see snaps.
I think he'll see the first quarter of the last preseason game.
Of the last
no,
one?
I don't think they'll play him in the last one. Definitely not. No way.
Special teamers.
It's too scrappy. The last preseason game is way too scrappy to be putting any firsts in.
I would say the Jags game's for the guys on the bubble. But for me, there's just I mean, obviously I love Zeke, and the fumbles were hopefully a one-off. But I think it's going to be tough on Zeke to say, here you are, Zeke, here's 30 carries against one of the best defenses in the league. Cold, if you know what I mean. I think I would like, me personally, I would like to see Zeke. I don't think it will happen, but I would like to see Zeke get some carries. Yeah. Obviously, we know Dak is out. Dak has been put out until the Bucs game. I think we're going to see our backup in this game because just going by the numbers from the last game, the QBs had 13, 16, and 14 pass attempts.
Yeah.
So that's very, very even. Garrett Gilbert had the most at 16. Cooper Rush the least at 13. So are we going to see somebody emerge from the crowd? Hopefully, because they're not going to run. They're definitely not going to run with 4. They possibly won't run with 3.
Yeah.
So who's the guy going to be? I mean, what's your guys' prediction? What do you see it?
What, for backup quarterback?
Yeah, right now.
Do you know what? This is where I've got to now. I don't care.
You've joined me.
Yeah. I put a post or comment out in the week, and I said, look, there's 32 teams in the NFL. There are backup quarterbacks playing starting roles in the NFL. That is how little depth there is in starting quality quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you think we're going to find a quality backup quarterback? It's just not going to happen. Not when you can't even get 32 starting quality quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we had that last season with Dalton. We had
maybe the best backup quarterback in the league, and look how that finished.
Yeah, but it cost us $7 million to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll stick by if QB1 goes down, that's it.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
If it's for the
season. In general, obviously we have the Philadelphia one off, but in general terms, if QB1 goes down, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's done.
It's a fair argument. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Go on then, Paul. Give us your 5, and I'm going to circle back then, guys, to red zone play calling. So hit me with your 5.
So it's going to be a mixture of what's already been said from Marcus and from Graham. So for me, I'm more looking forward to. Well, not looking forward to. I'm going to take a primary focus on the run game, like in terms of stopping the run from the defensive front, the front 7 or whatever.
Run defense, I love that.
So That I want to see, because that was the biggest thing that we need to address in terms of stopping the run from last year. Because, like we said, we had bloody like third stringers causing mockery against us in the Cleveland game last season. People that were just signed like a week ago. And that so. On top of that, I'm curious to know what our number twos are going to be like. So when I say that, is and I think you kind of may have brushed up on it, Marcus, is like where Jalen fits now. Is that so? I'm really curious to see what is going to happen with our linebacker core in terms of the rotation side.
Like with LVE and Jabril Cox.
Exactly. So I'm really curious to know how is it all going to get planned out.
I love that one.
Number 3, I want to see Malik Hooker a bit more as well. I want to see how he's molding into the squad. Offensively, just the offensive line. I just want to see more general improvement in that overall, and finally probably just our quarterback. Or who's going to be the backup? Are we going to see an improvement from Danucci, or has Gabbard got it nailed in the bag? We don't know yet. So that's the 5 points, really.
Hey, Paul, quick question.
Sure.
How much of Hooker do you think we see this game? You think he gets a quarter?
If we can get a quarter out of him, I'll be happy.
You think it's like first half, or you think he's like purely with the backups?
If we can, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't really matter if it's in amongst with backups or first stringers. As long as he's getting actual game time, I'll be more than happy. But as long as I just want to see how he tends to read the game based on his position, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's what I'm more curious to see.
Okay, then.
Because he has been with the team the shortest, rather than like all the guys have done like the rookie off season and all that type of stuff like Raquamo has and stuff like that. So it'd be really interesting to see how well he's came on and adapted within the Dallas defensive scheme for Dan Quinn.
So let me ask you this then, Marcus, right? Let's flip that around.
Okay.
That Malik Hooker plays a quarter. Bear in mind, dress rehearsal game, third one. And I'll ask you as well if he plays a half. So he plays a quarter. What does that tell you about how you think they're going to utilize him in the regular season? And the same question with a half.
That's a good question. You mean like if he plays like in the first half, like
in the first quarter, he plays an entire first quarter, then we don't see him for the rest of the game. What does that tell you? And he plays an entire first half.
That would probably tell me that they don't have a lot of faith in one of their safeties that's been here.
Agree.
So I mean the guy's talented. He's shown awareness. His problem has been injuries.
Yes.
So I mean, it's not like he's a guy that I'm thinking they're playing favorites with. I would love to see him out there an extended period of time if he could stay healthy. But that would tell me that there's a couple of safeties they don't like if he's able to come in 1 week and leapfrog everybody.
So are you thinking, say for argument's sake, he plays an entire first quarter, that he's overtaken Thompson?
Oh yeah, definitely. My question would be, has he overtaken KZ or Wilson?
That would be. I don't think he'll overtake KZ. For me, I see it Wilson, KZ starting, and you've got Hooker. See, and this is where it gets tricky with the safeties, because now what are you going to do? Like Hooker's in there, and now what are you doing with the rest?
I'd just like to point out that 4 Dallas Cowboys fans are basically saying that we're spoiled for choice in the safety position.
It is to me, like, we know what Wilson is. We know what Donovan Wilson is. We know what he isn't. So we know what we're doing there. That's not the problem. The problem is what you're doing with that center fielder position.
Yep.
That's the problem.
But KZ has played strong safety, so it wouldn't be insane to think we could go Hooker, KZ, and Wilson be on the bench.
That would work too. And you just bring Wilson in on that box safety plays.
Yeah. No, that would make sense, yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how they treat Hooker this game.
Yeah.
It's a long time since we've had competition and rotational talk at safety.
Yeah,
I think it shows, and they've clearly tried to address it. Maybe not in the big Pro Bowl sweepstakes, but they've definitely brought in some competition to try and fix it.
Yeah, but we have definitely addressed the issue. We don't know if we actually have addressed the issue, but we have definitely brought in bodies to kind of potentially fix the thing that we've been craving the most, and that was safety. Yeah. And I know Brian, it was somewhere in the comments, like somewhere thinking about
it. but the trouble we got with the trouble that we've got is that you have to factor in John Fassel as well, because he's going to have his say, and whether you like this or not, Fassel loves Deontay Thompson. He absolutely loves him. Yeah. The Cowboys, the Cowboys coaching staff love him for his special teams play.
Right.
I've honestly got a feeling that when it comes to those 5 guys that Fassel's going to pick, Thompson is going to be one of them. He's going to say, no, my 5 guys I want, although sometimes that could be 6, or you even see 7 sometimes, which is mental. But you're going to see it. You're going to see him have his pick. And I honestly see Thompson beating it. And people are going to go like, why? And it'll be because of your special teams coach says, these are one of my guys.
Mike, I did a full special team show one day because I've been labeled the special teams guy. And I try to tell people, we all focus on offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
To be honest, outside of the starters, they don't really have a lot of say on who they keep. It's a collective decision. When it comes to special teams, if the special teams coach says these 5 guys stay on the team, nobody argues with them.
Exactly.
Because no matter what he does, his entire existence is based off of those 5 guys for what he wants to do. So we talk about Dorrance Armstrong, who's been here forever. We talk about Noah Brown, which
there's another guy.
Last year, I told you guys Noah Brown makes the team. He's one of the 5. And you talk about Darian Thompson. He's one of those 5. So he may
CJ Goodwin is another one.
Goodwin is one. So those guys are going to push out guys we really like because of the influence that Bones Fassel has in picking his core.
Yeah. And the irony in all of that is that the offensive and defensive coordinator and the head coach, they then all have to make their adjustments because the special teams, you do not realize the influence. There is no say that the offensive and defensive coordinators cannot turn around and go, no. It's like, no, they are. The special teams coordinator says, these are our guys. Now adjust.
Exactly. That's it right there, Mike.
Yeah. And it is because it's a game of 3 teams. But the red zone play calling, I wanted to circle back to this. Yeah. A lot of people have an issue with it. And it is an issue for definite. And I think that that when you look at Kellen Moore's playbook, he's not bad at calling plays. But I think he's got this massive encyclopedia of plays that then when it gets to the red zone and things get faster and he needs to do it, he's so busy rummaging through his plays that he ends up calling the wrong play. That is honestly my opinion, that he overcomplicates what it needs to be. And when it gets to the red zone, dumb it down.
Mate, what's the thing that I always keep saying? Less is more.
Yeah.
But I follow that motto, like, less complication, more reward.
Yep.
So I think that it could potentially well be, if that's the case, there could be too many plays within the red zone scenario. It just may need to be broken down a little bit and add those plays week by week as the season progresses. It could be one of those scenarios. So, but
experience, do you think, is an issue?
Possibly. I mean, how long's Kellen Moore been our OC now? That's his 3rd season, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's his first ever proper coaching job. I find he was more of an assistant before. So,
quarterback's coach.
Yeah, well, I suppose quarterback's coach as well. I keep forgetting about that. But now he's been given the more control of doing the plays and stuff like that. It could, I mean, he has delivered some really outstanding football in terms of what, if we're like back in the midfield and stuff like that going forward. But when we reach that end zone, you're like, red zone, we're like that. We just can't seem to get the ball in the end zone. It just seems to be like this barricade.
He just seems to crumble in the red zone. It's really unusual because when he's in the open field, he's doing these really smart and intelligent alignments and really putting the defense on the back foot. And because he's got the weapons and he knows how to use them.
Yes, you just said it just there, mate. Especially when you've got the weapons. Like for example, like what we've done with Gallup. Gallup just comes out of nowhere and does absolute clutch plays. Two catches in a row, and CD Lamb just doing he's clutch in general, but it's the route running scheme for these players to create the separation. It seems to work for what does for Kellerman in the midfield, but it's just because I think it's more the limited space because you're when you're in the red zone, you've only got rather than you're 50 yards away from the end zone, you're now 10 yards. That's like you can't really go deep route. You can't really. It has to be different.
Snappy.
So I don't know if that's something to do with it. I mean, it's a really hard one to really.
What are you putting it down to, Marcus? Because it is a tricky one. But from between red zone and red zone, he's absolutely efficient.
I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I call them cute plays. He just likes to dig into his bag of tricks when he gets down there because he thinks you have to run the Philly special every time you get in the red zone to score a touchdown.
Oh God,
yeah. And he's running. He's in the red zone and he's running a pass out of a run formation, which is it is clever. It's smart. But when you're down in the red zone, don't get cute.
Right.
Just dumb it down. Keep it simple.
You got the best guard in the NFL and the top 5 running back. Just run it right there.
Yep, smash mouth. I can't even say smash mouth football. Right, ram it down the throat.
For me, it's when his offensive line was 3-4 years younger. It would be a simple single back, trips left, halfback dive, and it'd be a touchdown.
Yeah.
Zeke would simply just power it into the end zone. That offensive line is not the same offensive line, and that causes issues. For me, certainly, when you've got Travis Frederick creating the lanes, it's a hell of a lot easier to call a halfback dive. And when you simply when you go with guys like Biadish, Williams, McGovern, you can't have the same confidence. Not in the simple stuff, which is why I think we're starting to see a little bit more trick. But I agree with all three. I think he tries to be far too clever. Just get on with it.
I just want to say, Mark, thanks for the lovely comments, man. I'm glad that you're enjoying the show, man. I'm glad thanks again for tuning in, man. And
but here's another good one he just brings up. Bring the I formation. But what's funny is you are seeing Kellen using those classic 90s formations. You are seeing him do it, the I formation. But ironically, that you're looking at it in these twin back sets, and you're going, oh yeah. Just like I was saying, you're seeing run, and then he's throwing a pass, and you're just like, amazing, that's perfect. But now you're doing that in the red zone. Don't get cute. Bring it back.
Right. Yeah, and shouts out to Mark Cantor because I've been following him for a while in all the different Cowboys chats. He takes a lot of hits on the chin because he says a lot of things, and the average fans won't agree with him because they don't know. But Mark really does his homework, and he sticks in there. He sticks to his guns. So
Mark, big shout out to you, man. You're bringing the fire tonight. Bringing the fire, my man.
He does this in chats all the time, and then you'll see some person who has no clue what they're talking about try to go back at him, and he puts them in their place quick. I'll give him that.
Hey, we like them. We like them. We like that a lot. Hey, we're not going to go down that road, but trust me, we've had a taste of that. But let's get into the fun side, guys. Episode 2 of Hard Knocks was on.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick review. And I'll let you guys talk about this. I'm just going to give my number one thing I like the most. There were 2 very little ones, and I've got loads more, mind you. First of all, for the heart part, bashing with his kid on the sled. I like that. That was cute.
Yeah.
But the big one for me was seeing Azure Kamara's family watching him on that field.
Yeah.
We don't know much of the history. He doesn't really want to dive into it, and we'll respect that.
Yeah.
Right.
But we gather what's going on, the Civil War, Ivory Coast, all the rest of it. We're not going to go too deep in the reads on that one. But to know that that's what that family went through, that he came to America speaking only French in his native language, going to school not knowing English, and now he's making plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and his family are emotional on the sideline. For me, that's what Hard Knocks is about.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Story.
The humanitarian side of it all,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a great story. Absolute great story. And not just that, he actually was one of the players I was going to make a comment. Like, if it wasn't for the flag on that play, like that would have been like
great play.
A fumble recovery. Would have not. So it was just an absolute shame that it got called back, but he looked like, for a guy undersized at the defensive end, he can certainly run and actually get round the tight corner or round the tackle really nice and effectively. So, I mean, but yeah, it's a great story to tell, man.
Oh, yeah. And just to talk about the players, since you are, I've got Azure Kamara on my practice squad. I want him on that practice squad developing this year. He's a perfect guy for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But go on then. Give me your Hard Knock reviews then. What are some moments you enjoyed?
Well, for me, I'm going to bring this up, and Wendy made the comment about it. It's because it's UK related. Is Aidan Durrett Fox, our defensive line coach. So for anyone who doesn't know who Adam Durrett is, he used to be a coach for the London Olympians here in the United Kingdom. Then
played NFL Europe.
He played for the Scottish Claymores, which I've got the T-shirt that are
there it is.
There we go. World War 1996, motherfuckers.
You only get that on the UK podcast.
Yeah.
You only get it here.
Yeah, so it was really good to kind of see some old footage of the Scottish Claymores, of him playing and him doing his coaching while he was down in England and that. So I thought it was really nice because it's showing it's not just, and this is what I keep saying, it's not just America's sport anymore. It's now becoming international, because you're seeing Isaac Aracon and you're seeing the tight end for the Cardinals. I think he was like from Slovakia or something like that. They were having that conversation. It's like, look where we are right now. That was a beautiful moment as well. So I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I think the whole perspective for me is it's now becoming the more international stage. Now it's becoming more international renowned, because years ago, it's like, yeah, we did have NFL Europe. It died down. Now we're seeing the NFL international games, but now referring to the Hard Knocks, we're getting to see opportunities more for players who've never been to an American college or whatever, and I think that's a nice storytelling towards the Hard Knocks itself.
And it goes to show the level of, not the level, but that football, NFL football, American football here in the UK does exist, and that we are doing it. You're talking to a guy who's a player. You're talking to a guy who's watched football from his father's side, and a guy who's done scouting. Yeah, that's who we are over here. That we do it, and that's what's nice, is that people go, oh right, okay, so they truly are into it. Although. Marcus being Marcus and talking to us a lot, he already knew that talking to us.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other point is kind of make up as well with the fun, and this is more funny side of the whole Hard Knocks way. Adam Durrett is the whole what Terrell Basham was doing, trying to mimic him. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, that's the only thing, is he's got a very typical
London accent.
Yeah, the London Cockney accent that, like in America, a lot of people try and emulate. As you can hear, there's Scottish and Welsh accents and whatever Jamie speaks. Just so you know, we don't understand Jamie.
Mike, I just need to add, Brandon, you need to work on your Scottish accent next time.
I know, yeah. I did hear that, yeah. What is funny is, right, here's one for you, Marcus.
Yeah.
Paul, do a Welsh accent.
Me?
Yeah, come on. This is amazing.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, what do you want me to say?
Anything you want.
Anything you want.
The best one is Australian. That one absolutely kills me.
Right. Can we just set a rule here?
No.
No more accents from me ever again. Never.
Give us an Australian, put another shrimp on a barbie, and I'll never ask you again.
Piss off.
Honestly, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Oh, man.
I knew I get him. I knew I get him on that one. But one of the things I noted, the Mike McCarthy fire, that was good to see, because a lot of the time when you see Mike McCarthy, he's very although he's extroverted, he's very professional the way he comes across. All of a sudden,
I would say he can be a wee bit conservative at times with his speeches at times, but
he
can be. But this one was like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah. It was good to see the fire, because it's not something that you've seen before, and it's like, he's bringing out the F-bombs, and he's like, I want to see physical. Let's get into them, and it's like, yes.
In fact, Marcus, was it you yesterday on your show that made a really good point that when you're comparing the speeches, Jason Garrett is more about the quotes. Mm-hmm. Was that yourself that mentioned that? That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like, Garrett always used like the projector and have wee quotes to kind of motivate the players, but it was never like we need to do this, we need to do that. It was never none of that.
It was never just matter of fact. Like, go get it done. It was always some type of.
That's right, Wendy. The World's team.
Garrett was a t-shirt coach. Everything he said, he put on a t-shirt.
Or on a cat poster.
Right.
Oh my god. Jason Garrett took that too literal for that Giants practice. Oh god.
I didn't even think about that when I just said it.
Yeah.
You know, remember that? Like, literally had the t-shirt saying fight, and then literally just happened with Daniel Jones and all the scruffle and all that. I was like, oh
god. But I mean, any of you guys want to add anything into the Hard Knocks review? There was some great other moments as well. If you want me to bring them up, or you can.
I would like to go back to Dirt, the defensive.
Durden, yeah.
I was concerned, and I'm glad I got this insight, because when we hired him and I looked up his background, and I saw kind of where he came from. I had concerns that maybe the guys wouldn't be able to connect to him because he's not a football guy in that sense. Played for the 49ers for 10 years and now he's a coach, or you saw him come up through, he's a legend at Oklahoma and now he's a coach. He doesn't have that type of background.
Yeah.
I was kind of concerned the guys wouldn't kind of connect with him, but to see just a little glimpse of that and to see the guys kind of being able to play around with them, and you see them working for him on the field and you see them in the classroom, that's really encouraging to me, because I've always said Marinelli had one foot in retirement for a decade.
That is true.
He just like to be on the field and train with the guys on the field, but I would be shocked if Marinelli held real classroom work where he did.
True, dog. True.
Yeah. And they're responding to him, and he did seem like a high character guy.
He does, yeah. He seems like he knows his stuff too, and you guys talked about it coming up through the UK ranks. He's scouted. He's really taught.
Just to give you a wee insight as well, see, when he was the head coach for the London Olympians, he pretty much dominated the UK scene in the early 2010s before he got his opportunity to go to the Falcons and stuff like that. Because right now, like, the other London teams, there's the London Warriors, which was Efe Obada came from, who's the defensive end. We got the international, got him to Dallas. Now he's killing it with Carolina right now. So, I mean, and not to mention, like, in terms of him going, like, so playing in NFL Europe, like, he's got a lot of experience, and one of his actual defensive lineman coaches at the time is actually Jim Tulsula, believe it or not.
Okay.
So, and Jim Tulsula was the defensive lineman coach for the Scottish Claymores back in 2001, I think it was.
Yeah, somewhere around there,
It was in the early 2000s, and Durd was still playing for him at that time, and that's who he learned from, and he's just kind of stepped from there, move onwards. He's done his coaching for the programme, went to Atlanta, and he actually did really well over there, and now he's given the opportunity with Dallas. So I think it's a great appointment, but it's an unusual appointment. No one doesn't really know much about him, but like you said, Marcus, he does have that competitive nature, trying to get to the players' mindset and get them focused. Like you saw what he was doing with Basham, but more primarily, like take away the banter, the having a laugh and a bit. When it came to on the actual field, you could see how engaging he was and getting up close, like come on, no, do it again. I want to see better. Like that's exactly what you want from your D-line coach.
And let me go back to this really quick, because this is something I haven't brought up. I've never seen our D tackles two gap the way they've been doing it.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a testament to Dan Quinn bringing in the right kind of guys, or is it the defensive line coach is coaching? But I'm seeing guys actually separate in two gap and not just go in head first and leave a lane.
Yeah. They're holding the shoulder and peeking.
Right. I mean, even Hamilton, who nobody thought was anything, he looked good in practice in preseason. And
even Rondell Carter.
Right, Rondell Carter. And I was just about to get to the ends. We talk about how great Doris Armstrong looks. Is it coaching? Is it the light coming on? Carter, like you just brought up, he's bringing the heat.
Great comment.
Everybody's looking a lot better right now than they looked in the past, even though it's preseason. Is that coaching?
I would say it's down to coaching. And really what you're looking at is your defensive coordinator is going to bring the scheme. He's going to tell you how he wants it to be. That I want your guys two gapping, like you're saying, Marcus. Then it's down to your positional coach to implement it into those players. So I think when you're talking about it, there's that balance there. But they are doing it, and they're doing it effectively, which is good.
Just to add on top of that, like if it wasn't for Dan Quinn, we wouldn't have had Adam Durd as our D-line coach as well. So and Quinn is quite responsible for bringing in like the majority of the defensive side of the coaches as well, and the assistants, because he knows what he can work with and he knows what to bring to the table. So, and I think and I think credit is also given to McCaffrey for giving Dan Quinn the trust factor to say, like, okay, you're bringing these guys in, okay, but I still want you to do this for the defensive side of the ball. So so just need to trust the process, pretty much. We just need to trust
I mean, you brought up a great point. DJ Dog just saying Quinn has to be comfortable with his staff to go to the box.
Yes, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Because this was something we had RJ on the other week, and this was something I brought up, that Dan Quinn is up in the box calling. Like being down on the field and out of the box has its pros and cons in either way. One of the things you do have to have is confidence in you guys down on the field if you're going up in the box.
Yes.
That's the big one. And that was the point I was trying to make the other week with RJ.
Yeah. Oh, big shout out to Mendoza. I'll see you in fantasy, my friend.
Sunday. The only other one I wanted to bring up off Hard Knocks was the Rams practice. And
yes.
Very funny that
I think we're all going to bring up the same point here.
But it is funny that you've seen the Cowboys players on the sideline, and they're all bringing it up. They're like going, it's going to happen. It's coming. They're like, look, one more big hit from these guys and it's going to kick off. And you could see it coming. And I think Hard Knocks, in that sense, they did show it quite well about who the instigators in all of this was.
Absolutely. It's clear as day. Even from the cell phone footage of what happened, it was quite clear as day. But yeah, Connor Williams, man, what the hell?
It's not the first time he's dominated him.
I know.
Contract year.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
The other bit, the last point I want to make is something I found quite fun is the very, very last scene. the Lyle Collins and Dak smack talk.
Oh,
that was good. And like, you know, Dak giving it back, mind, and he's like, yeah. And you could see they were both trying to bait each other.
You could tell with Dak's expression, he was a wee bit butthurt because Lyle Collins is like, oh, just because you never got picked by LSU, you just had to go to Mississippi State, right?
Yeah. Right. Because Dak would definitely have wanted to be down there. You 100% without a doubt.
But he's from there.
Exactly.
In that area,
I would probably say he's probably a fan since he's down that way, so it would have been his dream.
That's the Godfather.
Here's the Godfather. But talking of that, college football is back, man, next week.
Yeah.
It's the 28th, isn't it?
Saturday.
Scary.
Don't know. No, because I will get emotional. Just let it out. So I am looking forward to that. Are you a Vols fan, Marcus?
No.
That's okay then.
Yeah. Lambo's the Vols fan.
I thought he was a Gators fan.
Well, yeah. I mean, he follows the Vols now because he's close enough to go to the games, but he's a Gators fan, yeah.
Man, I am gonna rip into him later then. They literally lost half their team. But that is for this week where we're up to.
Can I tell you, man, what I just want to ask Mike which quarterback the Jets are taking first overall. Do you know yet? Is there a kind of 1 or 2 punch, or are they?
Yeah. Imagine they did that though. That they just went, this
just
isn't working. Not the first time.
Wouldn't be the first time.
That would be crazy to see that happen all over again. But before we go anywhere, make sure, guys, you go follow Marcus and his pal over at Cowboys Zone, Brandon Lambert, as well. He's Cowboys Y'all. So make sure you follow them. They do their show every week as well, Cowboys Zone. Me and Paul have been on with them, talking. We even did a little show, just the 4 of us once, with our own little
in fact,
show.
Marcus, you need to tell him about the live fantasy show you're going to be doing.
Do all that
right. So Lambo and I set up a Cowboys Zone fantasy football league. It's our second year. So we just bring in some of our favorite guys, some of the favorite podcasters, some of our best viewers, and some super fans. We all get together, just do a fantasy football league, and we do a show where we put the fantasy draft up live, and we bring everybody in.
And so
the fans can kind of come back and interact and tell us what we did wrong. It's going to be a lot of trash talking, so they can join in on that as well.
Yeah. And if it was anything like last year with the first,
that was so much fun.
It just sent everyone absolute bananas last year.
Yeah.
Basically, Patrick Mahomes went number 1 overall. I won't say who picked him.
That just messed up the draft.
That just said it all. That just said it all.
Yeah.
And if you remember, I was doing it from my van, like 2,000 feet up in the air on top of a mountain.
Right.
I remember that. That's right. Because you video called me after it, and then you're literally in like a wee tent or something like that. And I was like, "What the hell? Where the hell are you?" It's like, "Oh, I'm out in the mountain." I'm like,
up in the mountains. Luckily, I had internet, so I was quite lucky because normally up in the Brackens, you don't get much signal up there, but I was lucky this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a good bit of fun, and it is a good show. It's one of my favorite ones you did.
Yeah, that was our favorite show too. So
it's a lot of fun.
It's 12 noon this Sunday, 12 noon Central Standard Time this Sunday. It'll be at least 6 of us on the show that I know for sure.
I'm just trying to figure out 12 Central, did you say?
Yeah, 12 Central.
So that's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. our time, yeah. So guys, be sure to go and check out Bluff City Cowboys, Cowboys Zone, and Cowboys Show. Go and check them out, guys.
In fact,
you guys can find me on YouTube. Bluff
they're
City
on
Cowboys.
here somewhere. There they are.
Yeah, I am.
There they are, look. Cowboys Zone. Look, in fact, it's the very first icon, look. And that's how important you are. That's how important you are to us, Marcus.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you guys for all your support, because you guys have really, really been there with us since we started last year. I mean, I think you guys you guys were the first ones to definitely have us on your show out as an outside podcaster.
Yeah.
We had you guys on our show. And like the night of my mom's funeral, you guys changed things around just to be able to squeeze me in during that draft show. So I'm very appreciative of all the support you guys have given me.
Yeah, well, like we messaged you, mate. We're always here.
Yeah.
Hey, football is family.
Exactly.
As the saying goes.
Absolutely.
As the saying goes. But before we go, we will just quickly tell you that if you're going to a game this year, make sure you book it with Cowboys Experience. Their packages are available now. If you go to our social media, you'll find it all on there. They have tailgate parties, meet and greets with football players and stadium tours. And make sure if you do it, you use the code UK Cowboys. Just tell them that we sent you. Because you know what happens when you do? Go on, Greg, tell them.
You get free stuff.
It's as simple as that.
So don't be a clown. Get free stuff. Just all you need to do is reference the code UK Cowboys and you get free stuff, guys. That's it.
UK Cowboys. Send.
Done. But yeah, we are as well, just so you're aware, getting to the end of season 2. Season 3, we are very close to taking the shiny wrapping off. In fact, is it next week our last show? Season 2?
Next week will be our last show because we want to get season 3 ready for the pre-game show for the Tampa Bay game.
Mm-hmm. So this is the penultimate of season 2, and next week is the final episode, and then we'll do a little what we're planning to do, a highlight clip and some bloopers as well. We'll get all that sorted.
Yeah, there'll be more available up on YouTube because it's just going to be a collection of good moments from season 2.
Yeah, because I don't think season 3 is going to be as good as season 2.
Don't say that.
It was great. Season 2, we absolutely had something. So you're saying that in order to beat season 2, we have to do All I'm saying is that in order to beat season 2, we have to do a 72-hour draft show, day 1, 2, and 3.
Marcus, these two spend hours on the phone and it gets crazy.
You should tell by my reaction, I'm fucking thrilled about that suggestion.
Mike opened the door, Paul, and you walked right into it.
We've got a plan for next year's draft show. It is one up from what we did the year before, but the big one is what we've got planned for 2023. That is, if it comes off, honestly.
Yeah, if it happens, yeah.
Which is
live in, what is it, Vegas 23?
Oh no, we cannot confirm or deny.
It will be in a separate location.
Okay,
that's all we'll say.
Nice,
yeah. But mate, thank you very much for joining us. I know, like, you had to sort of shuffle some things around.
Whatever you guys need, I'm always there.
Yeah, and we will see you on Sunday, providing everything works out our end. So we'll be there. Make sure, though, guys, go follow Cowboy Zone and Bluff City, and we'll see you all on Sunday. And I'll let Graham and Paul finish the show off.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one.
See you next time.